So welcome back to the channel. Thanks for joining us again here with Todd Adcock, long-term friend of Precision Golf. We've done a video where we've looked through irons. I'm just going to do one in the driver now with you. So see, Todd, we go back a long way. Done a lot of speed training.
Yeah.
I've hit it a hell of a long way, as we'll find out in a minute. But it's that sort of pattern of how the swings developed and the sequencing's developed as you've worked on the speed, which is now creating some issues with the driver.
Yeah. So the driver, we've had the driver. It's a bit like Trigger's broom, my driver. It's everything's the same, but everything's brand new and been replaced at some point. But the flight and everything on the golf course is absolutely fine. I do find at the moment though, it's a similar story to the irons. It's just the weight's just getting a bit much at the moment, and I just find that it alters my delivery a little bit. So it's kind of hindering me a little bit in my progress to where I want to kind of get myself to.
And I guess kind of like the irons, if we will, we relate to the irons. There's a separate video that we've done with Todd about the irons where we're going from a heavier shaft into a slightly lighter one, going about 12 grams lighter. And the heavier weight's causing a little bit of a back up through impact to deliver the club through. So where you've worked on getting that acceleration, that faster swing speed, faster club speed, it's actually being able to get the club, keep the club coming with you to lead through impact rather than having to back off to get it through.
Yeah, and definitely, and the changes for me are more, it's not so much saying that what I've got isn't working, it's more a case of saying that because I'm loading the club in a different way now, the weight's pulling me in different directions, and it's more to use the club and the weight of the club to get me into a more of an ideal impact position, because actually the weight's starting to hinder me a little bit now because I'm putting different force on the club.
So we'll get, there are two clubs in here that I'm going to get out.
Yeah.
One is the gamer driver, and the other is, it resembles a Muppet.
It's a training aid now, but it was a faithful friend for a long time.
So we will explain that.
The Velcro.
Very shortly. Hence the Muppet comment.
Yeah.
So Epic Flash.
I was aimed at me.
Well, it's got a fuzzy chin.
That's it, exactly.
So Epic Flash Sub-Zero. Fast drive face, good, low spin. Probably the only criticism of this head was a bit volatile if you got it a bit toey. But you've got it in the, got one of the Tour sleeves, so it's got a -2 option. So getting that absolute loft down that little bit further. And then the Hazardous handcrafted Hazardous yellow in the 76, 6.5, so X-Flex. So it's that one, it's that kind of raw weight of 76, 77 grams versus this one being the training aid. Obviously the Velcro on the face has made the swing weight heavier. But good old Graphiloid Pro Light Red X, so 67, 68 grams, so 10 odd grams lighter. But you were describing to me earlier the training aid with that allows you to get the club in a better position.
Yeah, when I speed wise, so I used my flight scope, and the reason for the Velcro is I've got a hitting pad, so basically it's almost like an impact bag. I kind of have something to hit into and hit against, and the pad will stick to the face where the Velcro comes in. But from a speed training point of view, I can move this one on average 3 to 4 miles an hour faster than I can move that. And also when I look at it on video, the delivery that I'm trying to get and how the speed comes out, for me with that one, as I load the club nicely to kind of halfway down, all the speed, everything kind of dumps early. I struggle to get my hands to the golf ball to get all the speed to come out last minute. The speed dumps here, and then I'm kind of coasting for the last foot and a half. And you'd see that a little bit on with flight scope. You have the acceleration profiles. It just kind of peaks and then just flattens off for the last foot coming in. So I kind of know with my gamer at the moment, whilst everything's delivering fine and it's a fine flight on the golf course, I'm getting to peak speed early and then coasting coming in, whereas with this, it's spiking into the ball. So that's where I'm picking up the extra 3-4 miles an hour through delivery of the club, through where the weight is and how it is.
And sort of shot pattern control stays fine? Not an issue from a
I've done a lot of training with the driver and stuff of late, and got myself to a place where, again, path-wise, even when I try and sort of swing for the fences, it's still in a window, because as much as when you do the speed training, I've kind of done it, if you like, in a responsible way, because I know I want to try and play golf and find my golf ball again at the end of the round, which I guess can kind of limit top speed, but it makes it more usable on the golf course for me.
And keep the flight more efficient, or is it more just developing it with the dispersion in mind as well, rather than just max out speed?
Flight-wise for this, I'd say it's actually still pretty efficient. The one thing that was starting to lose efficiency a little bit was when I changed the head. The old one cracked. This head was slightly slower, so smash would be down compared to the old head for the same flight. At the moment, again, it's warmed up a little bit. I've hit a lot of shots with it, so it's starting to kind of get itself closer again. but I still feel like, for me, progression-wise, it's more in the technique and the delivery and where that speed comes out, rather than me sort of feeling it dump early and then having to just coast into the golf ball a little bit.
And when Todd says about warming the face up, there is take the long drivers, it takes sort of 300-400 shots for them to actually get to peak speed.
Yeah.
And so then you've got a window of about 80 to 100 shots, and then the face will break. So
yeah, for those guys,
that's always the
many,
concern, isn't it? When you're at the kind of speeds that you're at, kind of 100 and high 120s, pushing 130, your average driver speed on tour is 114, 15 still. But you then get the big hitting guys are up at the 130.
Yeah, I mean, definitely, I'd say at the moment, from where I was, I guess a couple of years ago, I was probably down at 108, something like that, club head speed. Jumping at my boots to kind of get to 110.
Yeah.
Now I'd say first swings out the block with this would be 115, 116. On the golf course, I'd be 17, 18, 19, 20. And then in speed training stuff, I'd get myself pretty comfortable to sit at 23, 24 for 100-ish balls.
Yeah.
So the main thing for me is being able to kind of go out to the golf course and get the delivery that I kind of want to get to and push on. Goal for me, it's not necessarily about being long drive, but I kind of set myself a target that I wanted to get to 120, 180 on the golf course and make it a really playable flight. So to do that, another goal is to get to 130, 190.
Yeah.
At the moment, I'm still a bit short of that. I'm kind of, with this, I think 124 and a half, 183 and a half, but a little bit of that's down to some inefficiency with smash, and also I'm losing a bit of speed in that last couple of feet. So it's kind of keeping the flight and the characteristics are the same, but just give me something I can move a little bit better.
And with the for kind of gym, one of the things a lot of golfers ask about, how do I develop speed? Now there is an element where flexibility and a bit of fitness and a bit of strength clearly help.
Yep.
But what are the particular ways that you've used to help get maximised speed from a technique point of view?
So it's kind of looking at lots of different areas to try and pick up little bits from lots of areas rather than go straight down one place.
Yeah.
So first thing for me was tempo. So I use, again, the hitting pad that I use is from a company called Tour Tempo, which I oversell. That basically getting my swing to run on more of a 3-to-1 ratio. So for me, with the wrist injuries in the past, it would be a tendency to be very slow and positional going back, and then I try and do it all on the way down.
Yeah.
And again, building up momentum in the backswing was a big thing for me. So time my swing a bit more from a tempo perspective.
Yeah. Because that's actually the one thing, you create some speed in the backswing. You actually set the tempo.
Thinking of it as one swing rather than a backswing and a downswing, it's kind of creating momentum to then redirect and use.
Yeah.
And when people would it's kind of a bit of a lost term, but kind of lag, if you like. Lag is simply just that kind of loading and changing direction and how you're going to load the shaft for it to unload, rather than trying to hang on to anything or drive the hand or whatever it might be. So it's not as efficient. So you need to kind of create that momentum, so it then takes a bit more force to then change direction, which will then load the club better, and you can use it a bit later on. Apart from that, again, it's trying to hit it hard, like speed training, kind of stuff. Quite often I'd have TrackMan or Flight Scope running and just put club speed, ball speed up, take away the shot a little bit. And then from there, went down the route of working with Steve Furlonger and Lee Cox quite a lot, looking at ground reaction forces and a bit more mechanics now. So now I've kind of timed how I use the ground much better. I've got my sort of, if you like, force into the ground in a really good spot. It's now looking at the mechanics of it to get that to the club head. My problem has always been the longer the club is, funny enough, slower in relation to tour average I've swung it. I could get a 9-iron and have the first swing at 95 miles an hour, which would be well above, get a driver and back at tour average, because I can't get the speed to the club head in time.
Got it. And in that last bit, of using the ground, that's something a lot of people talk about, but actually we're more into more advanced sides of technique. So it's the kind of thing that, for a lot of players, that using the ground is one of the last things they're going to be doing.
Definitely. And I think it's something that comes naturally. Yeah, it's something, if you try and intend to move, you're going to engage in the ground more. So sometimes it's kind of which way around you think about it. Actually, if you have the intention to move faster, you'll engage the ground more because you have to. Yeah,
so the force has got to ground out somewhere.
Yeah.
Great, thank you for that.
That's all right, no problem.
We'll be slashing away later on, trying not to hurt ourselves. So that is the key. Is a major key there is, though, that it's not something you want to go headlong into having done nothing beforehand, because you will just hurt yourself.
Yeah, and if you look at, Joe Miller was, I speak to Lee a lot, and Lee would always say Joe got himself to a point where he's a bit of a freak with it, but he can hit balls 300-400 balls a day, 5 days a week, and still be as fast in ball 300-400 as he was in ball 50, which again has taken him 20 years to build up. So if you go out there and think, okay, well, I'm going to go out and Bryson says I need to hit 125 balls. First time you do it, don't plan to do anything the next day because it's going to be pretty tiring on your body.
Yeah, it's a it's a violent move. You know, it's a big range of motion, and actually the way the muscles fire to generate that speed, it's heavy work.
One of the biggest things I would also say as well when it comes to speed training is you've got a lot of speed sticks that you use, which are great, but you always need intention to hit something, which is where that hitting pad comes in. Whether it be an old head cover, whether it be a light towel or a sort of a soft cushion or something, because again, you're going to then learn to time impact. You've got a point to time. That will also take some energy out of the club, which helps your deceleration, because otherwise sometimes you can see people doing loads with speed sticks and then getting some neck and shoulder problems because they haven't got that deceleration of the energy going into something. Yeah. You tend to just swing all the way through and then you struggle to slow it down a little bit. Right, I better whack some now, would I?
Right, yeah.
Okay.
So loft-wise, it's the 9 degree, but it's got the -2 sleeve on it. So,
yeah, set to neutral and -2, so 7 degrees. I think we're 45 end of shaft.
Yep.
I think in that.
The hazardous handcrafted yellow 75 in X 6.5 foot.
Let's see what we've got cold out the blocks. Skinny. Easy on those.
Generally, from a kind of path pattern, what would you be looking for from a path number? Just a little bit more inside, but
just checking what it's like. Normally be 1 to 3 right.
Yeah.
I guess.
I'll just make sure that it's not. Just make sure that target line's in the right. It's a little bit left off. That's going to be more.
Yep.
Yeah.
Okay, right.
Yeah, that was 3. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, and that's one of these where you've got, speed-wise you've got, but then up where you get that angle of attack, hence needing the low lock.
Yeah, normally
generate launch
5,
through the angle of
6?
attack. Yeah,
Yeah.
6 and a bit. So yeah.
Start to turn.
And are you seeing any form of, want a bit of very sort of directional miss with it, or is it more just it's just not letting you get the swing to where you want to, where you know it's possible and where you want to get it to?
If anything, my miss would be kind of be like an overdraw.
Okay. Yeah.
Generally, always play for a little draw. Normally, the miss tends to come up. It's a similar sort of thing where it tends to get a little bit late, a little bit shut, and normally the miss comes with bad strike more than anything else.
Yeah. That's a good move.
But that'd be more the kind of shape that I play.
Yeah. Yeah, and that's a 3.2 into out 2.9. So face to target, very, very square.
Yeah.
Just make sure that's on That's still nice. Put that on the top.
On the top, yeah.
Okay, let's get kind of maybe kind of 1 or 2 more, but that's pretty.
That was the one that got past me. I tried to turn more on that one and felt it dump here.
Yeah, yeah, you can see it just turn that.
Kind of pulled me backwards a little bit.
Okay, yeah, so that just then gets it slightly closing relative to target, and then you get the loopy.
Yeah, kind of feel it pull me here a little bit,
Yeah.
and then to reach the ball, the club shut itself down a little bit.
Okay. Yeah, and I think where you've stayed that head over these, it's not a particularly high launching end because you generate that angle of attack and get kind of 5, 6, 7 degrees up. You don't need a lot of loft to get peak height. You're actually looking to keep the top of the flight down a little bit more.
I normally numbers I look for a bog standard one, 12, 13, 14, 5, 6 up, 2,000 to 3 probably. I'd say I probably normally am. Let's try and open it up a little bit. Oh, I missed that one completely.
Yeah, I think it'd be interesting. We've done, well, earlier on we were looking at irons in that other video. I think it'd be interesting. Just to get something that's that little bit lighter, because realistically, from what we've done previously, that ties in fairly well to where the iron, your current iron setup with the 130 gram shafts is. But I think now, having done the work with previously in the other fit with the irons, to get them down a little bit and to have to work a little less hard to get that out in front, it's just going to feed into getting a little bit more slingy with it. So
yeah, and definitely something I'd like. Well, something to try if you recommend it. But the TPT series shafts do a lot. Speak to Eddie Fernandez a fair bit, and those sort of guys who are playing that. And you've got Adam Scott put it in play now, Harrington put it in play, Jason Day, a few guys kind of putting it in. So
yeah, and those series are so the TPTs are thin ply tech. They're a lot of the guys who the long drive were using a version of it. Actually, a much lighter version one might expect.
Well, Martin uses the 185 CPM one, the 21 high.
Yeah, which is incredibly light. It's like a 50 odd gram,
moving at 160 miles an hour.
Yeah, and so great quality materials allow it to load and burn and stay intact, which is always a good start point. So I'll get a kind of one of the current Callaway heads.
So a quick swipe. Oh, make a proper swing.
So let's get it down. I'm going to use got the Paradigm, the triple diamond in the 8 degree. Just keep that loft down there.
Yep.
And then just going to start off with in terms of weight, still get kind of 13, 14 grams out. We'll go into the TPT. The highs have got very, very neutral balance points, so I don't want to go in I don't want to start in the low and stick weight in the tip end. But the hazardous yellow is a bit of a sort of higher balance point. So this is a more neutral weight profile, but we're dropping the dead weight down. No, this one's I started with the 17 because it's 62 gram high. And the high bit, based on what we're trying to do, some people might say, well, why that one? But actually, it's just because it's not as the low is pretty tip heavy.
Yeah.
So.
And look, just doing a bit of own research and stuff with them as well, seeing the difference with the low and the high, depending on the amount of droop in the shaft as well for strike point.
Yeah, and this will just droop a little bit more. So let's just see where that one is. So that's it. D1.5, same length, but I think we'll use this as a bit of a more sort of suck it and see from a timing point of view. Right.
I've been good. We've had them in the shop for a little while at American Golf, where at the range, but I'm one for. Until I've got something sorted out, I don't want to start trying things and they start to lose faith in what you've got. All right, let's give this a go. Bit heely, that one, I think.
Okay. Pretty decent flight window straight away. So this is the 8, but kind of loft down the equivalent of a single loft down.
Okay, yeah.
So in theory, same equivalent loft to the sleeve
That
you've
felt
got.
quite good numbers considering how bad the strike felt on that one, to be fair. That wasn't a
That
great swing.
Yeah, so a little low on the face. So considering
felt
how
low
low
heely.
that ball speed,
Ball
and
speed and
that's
spin
what you'll
to do that.
definitely notice relative to that head. That one will drop off ball
Punishes
speed
it
and
quite a lot.
performance off centre. All the heads now, but that has been very good across the face
Yeah.
for let's say ball speed and spin maintenance there.
Felt a little bit high-toey.
So let's just make sure that dot goes on the top. I'll just rotate balls to how hard you hit them so they don't any of them hit repeatedly with the driver this sort of hard, and the bay will potentially pop. So
Let's try.
it's interesting. I wonder whether that's got low. I wonder whether just lost a little bit of feel for that.
Definitely more play, feels like there's a bit more timing in it. I like the lightness of it, but it definitely feels like I'm not quite timing it.
Yeah, that last one, the first couple looked okay. Then that last one looked like just lost the bottom end on it slightly. So I think in the same way as the irons, where we needed a little bit in the bottom half, might just need the same thing in the driver. So I'll just change up into the. I'll keep it within that TPT series. I'll change up into the low at. You see, it's a couple of grams heavier. Go to the 18 in the low.
Okay.
Just to see what a balance point change does. First, it's still 12, 13 grams heavier in the current, lighter than your current shaft. Yeah, it's about swing rate point heavier, D2.5.
Okay.
So naturally with the low, it's more tip stable, but the balance point goes down the bottom. Will feel pretty different to swing. Ooh, that looked like it drop inside on you.
Felt heely again.
Yeah, I'll watch one more, but I'm not sure we need to push the weight that much. Just kind of looked like it might have just dropped behind you a little bit. Yeah, it looks like there's just going to be a little bit of a
weight,
bit of a salvage coming through. Yeah, not as. Whereas with the irons, we can see we've got it very, very stable through. That looked like it had a little bit of a flail to it, and I can see actually immediately where the stability, the strike point has just gone off. Ball speed's down a little bit, but the spin stability is off. So just forcing you to have to collect the club head rather than just turn onto the ball. Right. Okay, so that's doing that. Just going to pop. I'm going to just change the grip. This is going to do one of the PD60. But that's got a bigger grip on. I'm just going to put a standard size grip just to normalise the grip size. So just taking in principle, the balance just back more towards that TPT. I'm just going to give it a little bit more further head on that. So just double checking that principle on balance point, isn't it? So making sure we've not gone tip heavy on it. So we'll feel a little bit tighter than TPT because the actual kind of the flex of the shaft's a little tighter, so they won't have quite as much shaft droop.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, straight away cleaner from a ball speed point of view, simpler through the ball from a delivery standpoint.
Felt a little bit less, felt lighter with less play.
Yeah.
The TPT on those profiles felt like there was a little bit more.
Definitely.
The play to time, if you like, which you kind of have to get used to.
It's one of those, as you say, you have to get used to just swinging through it.
Yeah. I don't know. Do the 15 and the 16 low, does that kind of stiffen up more? Or is that more?
Yeah. So as the number goes
feel?
down, they go heavier and they go stiffer.
Yeah.
So the problem for you with the low is that it gets too tip heavy.
Okay,
and then as you transition, it drops in behind you, and then you can see you're having to do various things with the club face to find the ball with it. Straight away back with that one, it's more even weight, it's cleaner. Yeah, you can. So actually, for one that you didn't like very much, that's still as good a ball speed as you were before, but more stable from a delivery point of view.
Yeah.
So that with the driver and the longer length and more even weighting with the shorter shafts in the irons, a bit more weight in the bottom helps.
Yeah.
When we get to driver and the longer length, that just drops it in a little bit too much. So that's where the kind of the principles that has this yellow still apply of not going tip heavy.
Yep.
We just don't need the dead weight.
I'm losing my time in here.
Okay. I'm going to push the weight up just a fraction. I won't get rid of that one just yet, but does the slightly kind of, does the feel of a little less play on the shaft feel more comfortable? Or just they're just different feels?
Definitely different feels. Definitely the TPT felt slightly softer. Whether that's something that I'd kind of get used to or whatever, or had to learn to time. That one felt a little bit more like the iron shaft where the whole thing was lighter, but the whole thing was coming together rather than there was a whip to crack.
Okay, yeah. Right. So going to the TR, so that'll keep, the TR's got the stiffer butt section.
Yep.
Which means it doesn't get as tip heavy, but you still get the rigidity of it. We're at kind of 66, so just going up a little bit and away from that DM1 of PD. Should still feel really kind of tight and connected. Black. 6X. So just push that weight back up a little bit, just to see. See whether it just binds it together again or whether it gets behind. So it looks a little more left. Okay. It's whether that's getting just a touch in behind you or it's...
It didn't feel as left as that.
Yeah, just a little bit in behind you.
Dropping a bit.
Yeah.
Yep.
So yeah, once we kick it back up the few grams, it's just falling off sync again. Okay. So low 60s then.
Yep.
Right. Just going to get the Adcock TZ 660. So this one's the M4. So whilst in theory it's got a little bit of tip response, it's low torque, so based around the old SE80 profile, but it's just that raw base weight is pretty much bang on 60 grams. Let's see with that, so it's a couple of grams lighter than the PD.
Yeah, it does feel lighter, that. left on that so much.
So again, whether it's could just be that little bit, could be a little too light, and just
That's the face shutting down on those.
just face shutting down a little bit more.
It felt straighter.
Yeah. Yeah, that's much squarer in face. Yeah, so that note's got a much more, even that's hair below centre, but that's got a much more optimal set of, I don't know, sometimes you go out of it and then back into it.
Yep.
It's got a much more optimal set of numbers. There we go. Much better in terms of carry total. You can total there, that kind of launch and spin in a much better place with that, and got that nice sort of square face to that as well. So
Okay.
that's closer. Looks squarer. Yeah. Okay, that's those last couple have been much squarer on the face, much more controllable amount of shot shape. Okay, I'll put the PD back in just to go back to one that was fairly stable earlier on. Nice strong flight out of that. And to fair, head-wise, I know you've been in Callaway's before, but that triple diamond paradigm with the 8, because of having that 8-degree base loft as well. It's certainly a good base head. I mean, the other one that will certainly be an interesting one to compare with will be the TSR4.
Yeah, certainly from a looks perspective, I quite like, and same as the face, that kind of almost old school hair shape kind of look. Certainly the stealth from TaylorMade, everything's just pushed out towards the toe a little bit too much visually. And they're the kind of, if I had to sort of think of heads that I looked at and thought, oh, they look nice, this would be one. TSR 4 would be one.
3 potentially a little high, just not quite as good on spin.
Yep.
I think, because it's not that low a spin ahead.
Yeah.
And I think with the 4, we've seen some very good ball speeds off of that.
Yeah.
The 4, it's good, a good model for that. And it's much more, it's not like the old TSI 4, basically. If you're Adam Scott, it was fine.
Yeah.
Much more playable as well. So. Just going to give you a hair more weight in the head, just a little bit more, just to see if that just helps to time that in a fraction. Just sort of interesting, the other one, how after one swing then just found square.
Yeah.
That was pretty square. Slightly low on the face. Interesting. Just spun it up a little. Good delivery line. Slightly below centre, but that one spun it up a little.
Yeah.
Better at that balance though. That little more head weight was good.
Yep. Felt a bit Healy, that one.
Don't think it moves quite as well.
That feels more like it's going to be a Healy fade.
I
don't know what the spin axis comes out on that. Calculated.
Don't think it moved quite as well as the Acra. Not quite, I think. Just it didn't look quite as repeating. The good one was very, very good. But I have a funny feeling that within reason what you had in mind, that swing would have gone pretty well no matter what. Just a great swing. Whereas just then went off a little bit. I'll leave a fraction more head weight on that. So just back into the Acra TZ.
Yep.
That's really you're because of where your swing's at. Good swings are going to be good no matter what. It's just we don't really have to again, feel for that contact point. And
Yep.
it's just looked a little bit more repeating last time around. So it'll be interesting going back into it, whether it retains that. Yeah, probably looks like it does. Yeah.
Mm.
Slight calculation on that swing, but obviously face to path and dead on.
Yep.
Dead on square again. Okay, so that doesn't need the extra head weight.
Yep.
That I left on there. Well, I'm going to get the Titleist head just to compare as well. I think with that, it's a very, very, very repeatable line through. The slightly heavier head weight that was needed on the PD shaft was actually just then starting to leave it a little bit open.
Yep.
So that's a D1 swing weight. But yeah, there wasn't that hint of that snappy one with that. I'm going to get the TSR4 head to compare. So yeah, this one, it's the 9, not the 8, because of what we've got as the demos, but I'm going to be interested to see where that ball speed and launch is, and just getting the consistency of those as well. I do like I did with the Paradigm. I'll put the heavier weight at the front. Although normally the Titleist measure a little bit less loft relative to stated loft. Someone's taken my screw out of my box. Yeah, certainly been a good step forward by Titleist the last couple of series, but this one definitely there all the way across the face. Let's see where that swing weight comes in. And just going to get a fractionally heavier weight for that from the weight kit. Joy. It's always in the obvious place.
That's it.
Okay, there we go. So, same swing weight.
Yep. Okay.
Got a hair more loft, but I think what's going to be interesting to see is where consistency of spin, where that ball speed is. Obviously, we know we've got the provision for that 8-degree.
Nice looking head as well.
Yeah, I mean, that little bit more old school, slightly more compact shape. Yeah, and so traditionally it's just been such an impossible head to get consistent performance off because it wasn't forgiving, but the extra stability this year has been quite impressive actually.
Oh, completely lost that one. Strange.
bad for trajectory. Looks like it's a fraction slower.
Might be my wrist giving way a little bit, but it's fine at the moment. Right. That was a bad move.
Just, yeah, not ball speed, not quite. It's just a little bit more of a drop off.
Yep.
So the only other one I want to get, which particularly from a flight point of view, I'm just going to get the Cobra head.
Okay,
the LS. Yeah. Paradigm performance very good. So it's still going to take something pretty impressive to beat that. And it's been very good all across the face.
Yeah.
Spin stability and everything, but the Aerojet LS has been low spin. Something that Matt, who gives it a ride, has played the F9 for a while, which is pretty hard to beat. But the 9, we're going to loft it down. Going to move that, just switch the side of the weights just so it's not heel biased. It'll just increase the swing weight, I think, to where we want it to be as well. Been pretty good for spin, this. It's whether it's as good consistency wise of speed as the Paradigm.
I saw, what did I see the other day? Someone was telling me, is it My Golf Spy was rating the LS as their #1 for the year. In their testing.
I think it's very good for low spin. I think this year generally you're going to get a lot of instances where one tester's going to say one head, and another's going to say, because there are a lot of good heads.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
And there's not an awful
Picking
lot
hairs between a lot of them.
And this is a bit more solid sounding head and feeling head. The note's a little bit firmer.
Looks more upright, or is that just the visual of it?
I think that's where the toe line cambers up a little bit more.
It's almost like the old Maverick, where they've kind of pulled the back edge up, isn't it? The sort of aerodynamics.
Yeah, very much so. Yeah.
Right, let's try and make some better swings. Definitely different note to it.
I'm going to put a little bit more weight on that. And they do definitely swing a little bit differently this year with the weight distribution changing. That definitely means having to swing weight the head slightly differently. So whether say Paradigm with that little bit extra weight at the back, that just moves the geometry of the head moves a little bit differently. So they might have to make this slightly heavier swing weight than the others to move the same.
Sorry, that's my wrist giving way a bit. Just goes weak on me at the top.
Okay.
And I'll lose the club. It'll be right there.
I mean, interesting though to see where ball speed that's got a 1.6 on the front of it rather than 1.7. I think the Paradigm dropped below 170 something. Yeah, let me put the Callaway back on. I think that to me looks like you're also struggling to find square with it compared to where we were earlier.
Yep.
Definitely see it quite a lot almost the other way around, where if you get a slightly weaker player who rotates it, too much weight at the back, actually it wants to gear it open, they can't square it up. That one kind of looked like, you're just sort of almost struggling to find the face rather than just turn on to it.
There's a bit of me and a bit of the club probably.
So we'll see whether they go back to this, whether the ball speed consistency improves again, and whether it's easier to find square with as well. Yeah, so one that wasn't your finest hit is
No.
still
felt quite
174. So ball speed maintenance, there's definitely a better head.
Yep.
I know that one just overturned a little bit, but
Let's face that links into the hand. Right.
sounds slightly lower on the face, but you're back again to then half a degree on face to path.
Yep.
So there's just something to do with where that weight position sits, so that helps the club to drop and it helps you to find that squarer point, you know, a little bit of a softer face to path number, very much quicker with that head.
The tendency is when this does play up, I lose it under max load, get here and then it kicks left. That's where the face tends to go a bit. So that one there is more of me what we're saying with the irons and the driver of trying to get the hands further forward to delay the release a little bit.
Yeah, and ball speed's more consistent with it. Yeah, ball speed more consistent. The spin stability is better. Yeah, ball speed maintenance noticeably better on this head. You've got your tolerance on ball speed less than a mile an hour. So, you know, whereas we were seeing much bigger fluctuations on the other heads.
Yeah, definitely.
That looked a really balanced move. Yeah, as you say, that looked really balanced through the ball, and that's just then 0.2 face to path. Very nice, just under the 2000 spin, 13 launch.
Certainly holding up well on miss hits, this head.
Yeah.
In particular.
Yeah, very much so, and I think that's into, technically there's another mile an hour and a half, but that from a total point of view, that sort of upper mid launch, lower mid spins in a really good, that's in a really good flight window as well. It's really, without being extreme numbers, I think that's the nice bit of it. It's not like it's a 15 launch and a 1500 spin.
No.
That's a very stable flight.
Let's try and switch back a little bit.
Probably touch lower on the face?
Yeah.
Yeah, so again, ball speed still 174, 175. And so I think the others dropped to 169, 170. So yes, it spun a little bit more, but that's pretty much all.
Yep.
So I think that, especially relative to that epic flash sub-zero, which say middle great, if you get it a bit, now it's not your miss button, but if you get it a bit toey, that wants to really go.
It does, yeah. Any toey strike is a toey dipper.
Yeah.
It's a nose diver.
178.
Just try to reach back a little bit more on that one.
Yeah, I mean, even half a degree on the face angle, but that's same launch and spin numbers, give or take 100 old revs.
Yeah.
More ball speed, still 149 efficiency, and it's just kept that same
it's the one
launch
where
spin pattern.
If I do want to go at one a bit more on the golf course, which is a bit nearer that one, it's having it come with me rather than drop.
Yeah, I mean,
sometimes with that, I can find I end up winding up so much here, I can't get myself
going it's a good 15 grams lighter.
Yeah.
This is a pretty substantial amount lighter.
I was on a par 5 and had to go
10% on the iron, but this is 20 odd % in shaft weight.
Miss that. That's my hand more than anything else.
Because that's the one you should just drop under a little bit more.
Yeah. That was more, I felt my hand give way. So I was trying to hit it a bit harder. Right.
Solid line through. Interesting, square face path a little bit more into out. That one, that's dropped inside. Face to target is half a degree.
Okay, yep.
So it's just path got a little more inside. I was trying to think into, is there anything, I think to get that stability without getting tip end weight or pushing the shaft weight up too much more than that. Because you won't get the same kind of droop as with that. Do you want to go back and recompare?
Might try and maybe like the,
I
I don't know what would work, like maybe like a 16 low or something like that. I don't know if that would work or.
Probably if you go into something like 16 low, you're going to be pushing up to 70,
Pushing the weight up a
72
little bit.
gram and then tip heavy.
Okay.
Whereas when we tried the equivalent weight in the low,
Yep.
that dropped it under.
Okay.
So the problem with the lows is that weight just gets bottom
Okay.
end.
So if we went down that route, would it be the
That's-
16 high?
That's a Let me take that weight up a little bit more.
Yep.
It'll push the weight up a touch more. So this is the red 16 high. So keeping that weight profile in the same place, balance spot in the same place, just taking the weight up a little bit. Yeah, it's very impressive on ball speed consistency of that head.
Yeah, definitely. Because I haven't been swinging it as well as, well, when you try anything out, everything's a bit different because you've got different weights in your hand all the time. So it definitely feels across the face, from a ball speed perspective, the smash is higher. Okay, so that's, but it takes, so as the numbers progress down in the TBTs, the weight goes up. So it's, So that's going to be weight-wise
more so 67, 68
Okay,
grams. So we'll probably
would you still be saving 10 grams?
still 10 grams lighter, and it still feel a little softer, I think, than that.
Okay, yeah.
It's where they're going back up in weight, that, like the Ventus, where that just drops it in behind again.
That felt quite good from where it was.
Yeah.
Felt almost like it had the same amount of play, but it wasn't quite as deflected. It was kind of there.
Yeah, and it will be as as that weight goes up, it naturally tightens up. There's a bit more material, naturally stiffens up a little bit. Yeah, it's interesting. When we went up that little bit of weight in the Ventus TR, it definitely got out of sync.
Yeah, that feels quite nice.
That looks more, with the X-ray, it looks a little more together. Definitely a better, whether the TR just, although it's not as tip balanced as the standard one, whether that just, the bottom end just dropped it a bit, or this will be a little bit less tip heavy. Fraction open on the face, but it stopped it breaking down on you. And ball speeds. Spins potentially, if anything, a hair better.
Okay.
Speed's
It
not
feels
really
quite,
down.
from a feel perspective, just feel, that feels very light, but all together.
Yeah.
This feels like there's a little bit more play in it, but it feels like it's potential for a bit more kick at the right time.
Okay. Yeah, and so that's where the general kind of stiffness profile of the Aqua is a little tighter. They play quite rigid to flex, whereas that has that little bit, the thin ply has a little more give. Kind of
interesting to see if I tried to hit one, how it held up to it.
Especially, I think, in that high as well, you definitely get a little bit more feedback and movement through the lower half as well.
Oh, lost that one a bit. That was me trying to hit it harder. That felt heely.
Yeah, I think that got bottom of the heel. That's where you've got up and in a little bit more.
Yeah. Okay. Let's try that again. That could be left. as much as I thought.
Interesting one. It's right. This one's right on the top end of the kind of weight that lets you put that extra bit of power into it. It's interesting because it looked very, very stable, you know, at the stock swing weight. It's whether it lets you put the extra little bit of afterburners in.
Let's try a couple more.
Quite as easily.
Just see how it performs if I'm trying to, because the idea of it is kind of having something I can push on with rather than sort of get stuck where I am.
Oh, that's pretty stable. You can see you've got that out in front of you more.
Yeah.
Okay.
Definitely feels, there's definitely more load to it, more play
certainly.
to it.
Yeah.
As a feel wise. Interesting to see the spins.
Spin's very,
consistent,
very stable. Yeah. And I think there was one that one turned over a little bit more, but you've been, you know, one a bit lower on the face was 2-2, then the slightly lower spin and slightly higher launch.
Yep.
So more kind of the 15 odd launch, but 1800 spin. That one turned over a little more. That one was just a little more open, so spun a touch more, maybe a hair, a little bit lower on the face. But yeah, it's a couple of hundred revs lower spin.
Try a couple more.
Just missed the spin reading that. Good balls. That's just missed a couple of numbers on that.
Yep.
So.
Definitely struggling with it a little bit when I try and push it to time it, I think.
Interesting I think that's, I wonder whether between the two, the slightly lighter weight helps you keep going with the speed a little bit more, whereas this one on the more stock swings looks very, very solid.
Yep.
Just back into the acridging. Put a bit of weight back on. There we go. Yep. Yeah, I wonder whether as you push that a little bit more acceleration, a little bit more rotation, that one allows you to get there a little bit more the more you push it.
Okay.
Because we're straight away back into very stable, that same just little draw pattern to it.
Let's try and hit one hard with this and see what it does.
Yeah, it definitely doesn't break down left on you when you go after it. That's, you know, face pass 2.5.
Yep.
So it doesn't kind of lasso round. Let's rotate a ball just to, so it doesn't over fatigue that one. Yeah, definitely. It's
felt a bit heely as well, that one.
okay. Yeah, that would. Yeah, that makes sense. Face to pass the hair close. It's just a little bit onto the heel. That one's better spin number. I think that allows you to keep the speed going just a little bit more.
Feels, I kind of like the feel of that to a degree where it's got a bit of kick.
Yeah.
But at the same point, this is quite sort of comforting that it's all together.
Yeah.
Just chop them up again. Have another quick go with the other, just to have a bit of feel between the two. Because like you're saying, that stock swings, when I'm kind of putting less through it, timing it a bit better, that seems to work quite nicely. But then when I try to push it, I almost needed to do a little bit of work to kind of time it and feel it.
Yeah,
with that extra
I'd agree.
play.
I'd agree. I think that's spot on. I think standard, just standard swing that 16 high moves very well, and look really stable. But then when you went to give it that bit extra, you started to see it just rotate around. The face to path number was less stable.
Something another go, a bit more testing. A bit bottomy. They're very different from a feel perspective as well.
Yeah, yeah, they're pretty different beasts from from that sort of structure standpoint. Yeah, that you're gonna really notice much more load through the shaft, much more feedback through it. The Aqua's that tighter, sort of traditional tighter feel.
Definitely felt back here a little bit.
I'd say that one looks like you've got to hang on to it to keep it online a little bit more.
It just it's in transition. I feel it. It's almost like there's more deflection in transition that I have to then wait for a little bit to kick round when I put more load through it. So it's whether that becomes something I can use or that's something that's going to hold me back. Let's try and swing for one. Let's see.
See, I would say it depends how. Oh, that's got a double spring move. Depends how it all kind of depends. If you just move faster, I think it'll be slightly prohibitive.
Yep.
If your energy into the shaft, how much you pull on the shaft goes up, then you've got more to pull against.
Yeah.
So it's whether as almost if strength goes up, if that goes up and that energy into the shaft goes up, then that gives you more to use.
Yeah.
If it's just acceleration quickens, then I think that'll be more controllable.
Yeah. Okay. Cool. There's a couple more with each. Yeah, see, I lost that one when I tried to put more through it a bit.
Because it
back here.
just has that slight kind of come out of it. Yeah, I think it's that bit that drops it, then has that element of once it gets there, you've then got to almost sort of get the handle there to stop it breaking down.
It just feels like it does a little bit what that does with the weight. This one's doing it more by flex, that's doing it more by weight, that it falls behind me a little bit.
Yeah, I think some of it's you're going to feel and trying to feel a little more out of this. But I think they're both doing it a little bit because of weight.
Yeah.
But this one you're going to notice the loading in it a bit more as well. As I remember doing the test with of the same weight, but one very soft and one very stiff. And the only reason I hit the soft ones because I backed out it because I noticed it move more. Yeah. And that just I'm used to a stiffer feel, and it kind of my hands went oh. But if I then made myself go through it, it was fine. But you've got the weight being a little heavier that's also just tending it to want to drop behind you. So yeah, definitely playing a part in that for sure. But that's where, as I said, I think that one that you've got now, the actually facilitates that little bit extra acceleration and keeping it like the Armstrongs, keeping it out in front of you. Yeah, it's just like it looks like you're able to get it to there a little bit more easily. It's interesting as we've played between them a little bit more and gone back to it. Watching you swing it, that just looks a little bit better, a little bit better.
Yeah, this feels well like a lighter version of that. Really feels like it's more stable all the way across the shaft, but being a bit lighter, I can kind of move like I want to. I'm not holding on to it. When I tried to push that one a little bit more, just on a couple of swings, because realistically that's a shot I'm going to have on the golf course. I'm going to have my stock one. Then you get to a par 5 where I've got a bunker at 280, 290, or it's a bit wider. I want to open up one a little bit.
You've got to be able to have that step on it with it.
I think, like I say, doing it in different ways, but definitely doing it by flex, where it just flexes more. This comes with me more. Try and push this.
Yeah, and you're not going to be hitting driver to pat it down there, are you? So maybe a little bit left of that. Yeah, see that go a little bit left. I think
Funny, that felt more hillside. So I don't know if where the misread spin has got the axis
little
out.
bit, yeah, a little bit. It kind of looked like it just had that little bit of a roll to that one. I think the path's just a little. I think as a result, the path's just slightly tighter as well. I think. I mean, it's not moving a lot with either, but I think, as you say, I think that's the one that lets you get it out to there, and therefore stop it breaking down.
I think it's almost feels like golf versus long drive.
Okay.
I want to get one ball in the grid
yeah.
and get a long one down there. When I get that one, it's going to be good. This one feels a bit more like week in, week out. I'm going to be able to manage where that ball's going to go with this one. As a feel was.
I think, yeah, that little more play in the shaft is going to feel, for the TBT, is going to feel like it gives a bit more energy back. But for me, it's that swing, and it's got a double spin rig. It's that swing where, as you come through, as you look like you're just, it's a unit all the way through. Yeah. That face doesn't look like it's anywhere near breaking down.
Yeah.
It's got a funky spin. I'm going to give that one more. It's kind of like that swing a couple of swings ago. I think the last one before we switched back to the TPT, where it just really sail face just looks like you've got to do something wrong for it to go wrong, rather than it just wanted to get away from you a touch.
Okay.
Yeah.
Not quite. That was more me though.
Yeah, well, face hasn't closed to target. That's path moving a bit more into out.
Yep.
So you've got it's path that's shaped it, not the face side of it. So it's okay. Don't mind seeing that because it's not lassoed away from you. So and I mean the other bit as we've gone through all these, actually that ball speed consistency, going back to the head side of it, that ball speed consistency that head's giving you. Again, key thing is also with this head is the weight forward. Yeah. So you don't want that weight back. That's just going to produce the little bit less spin efficiency. But weight forward at high speed just maintains ball speed better. So that head's definitely maintaining. Actually, consistency of launch is really pretty good there. This is the odd one that's got up a little bit or down a little bit, depending on what face to path's got. But we've been pretty regimented around the 14-degree mark and 2,000 spin. Yeah. And the best one's 14 and just dropping below.
I don't really feel like, because we've been trying stuff around, I don't really feel like I've hit any that I've really middled, if you like. There's a couple of mine that I kind of felt, the last one hit with mine. I was like, I got that, good ball speed, good efficiency. That was quite a nice one. And like I say, at the moment, I feel that head's just starting to get on the end of its life cycle. It's just starting to heat up a little bit, where that smash was getting a bit higher. Whereas
I can see with this, there's a tolerance of 0.01. So there's just no spread in terms of ball speed efficiency across the face, which is really pretty impressive.
Yeah, it definitely feels better on miss hits, like it'd be more stable. Yeah, I think.
I think just to kind of we kind of wrap up a little on the driver side of it, is that. I mean, lost quite a bit of raw weight out of the shaft here. We're looking, a good 15 grams or so. The beauty with the Acra side of it is that it is low torque. It retains some stability. It's not necessarily that, I think, that's making it swing a little better. It's more that it's those few grams lighter than TPT. It's that lighter weight, light the irons that helps it really accelerate and keep the club coming with you. But again, really, it's not counterbalance, just a very neutral balance. So we don't need the tip weight like the irons. But that combination head and shaft, head in particular is working very well. That's a standout one for ball speed consistency. Because they've got the 8-degree head this time round, we can get the absolute loft low enough. Yeah. We can get access comfortably to those 2-degree sleeves as well. So there's plenty of provision to take the loft down and have a bit of a buffer depending on where things go, rather than just the one notch like the standard sleeve. So, and again, that also. Just make sure that face doesn't shut down. Again, for you being that draw player, we don't want it actively overdoing it. So everything about the head, that's a weight forward, lower spin side of things. When you get into your sort of speed angle of attack in particular, becomes incredibly important. So quite a considerable change in setup. Head-wise, it's really a much more forgiving version. We're getting a loft of actually the same point. And this one out the middle, great head for ball flight. It's hard to beat from the spin side of things. It's just that one gives you so much more margin of error. Again, biggest difference is really that shaft weight, as you say, and that was really the differentiation between the TBT and that. It's going to help you continue to develop that speed and continue to keep it out in front of you, which just gives you a little bit more face control. As you say, potentially there's the one in that's in the TBT that if you're doing long drive is just going to give a little bit more. But
there's much more timing involved in that, is what it felt like. It felt like as I was transitioning, there was much more deflection in the shaft, and I could really feel like I had to kind of time it to kick it out. Whereas this, from a playability point of view, again, same as the iron, same sort as I moved, it came with me. And it was more where I wanted it to be rather than an impact. I almost felt at impact there was much more deflection in the shaft, even at impact. In the TPT.
I think, and there's a little bit more droop. It's designed, the materials are designed to be that way. So there is within the shaft, whilst the head won't flip back and forth from the shaft much, the shaft will deflect a little bit more. There's sort of toe droop and a little bit of lead lag. But I don't think that's the bit that's causing the shape. I think where it just drops in with that little bit of deflection, feels like it kind of rotates under a little bit more as well. It's just going to exaggerate that off. So. But in terms of, you say, being able to keep that speed moving forwards between down that, we've got a 15 odd gram difference in weight, so quite substantial. So that should really help again moving forward. Just keep that extra bit of acceleration, keep it U-turn club comes with you, rather than again seeing the video you showed me earlier of you having to just back off that front foot to get the club through. That one where it just stays right side of the fairway rather than loops left. Much more stable in the face.
Definitely. I feel like this kind of set up the same at kind of 45 end of butt, and then have the 8-degree head with a 2-degree sleeve gives me a lot of options then to kind of really push on with it, and while I'm doing it, control spin, control flight, and have better miss-hits. So
driver-wise, as I say, round up, that's I think raw distance. This one, when it's at its longest, it's not necessarily going to be too far off. You say it's the control, the consistency of it. So, and I think that. It's what I was saying with the irons, that generating speed, you don't need heavy tip end, particularly at the longer shaft length. So that's where the TPTs for the long drive guys, they're in the highs because they're not tip heavy, a lot of them. So it helps you continue that rotation and not get the club. The more club gets out of sync, the more the face rotates, the wider the angle. So really good gain to be had out of the driver. And that should help really kind of kick things forward as you develop that speed.
So definitely.
Thanks for joining us.
No, brilliant.
Good energy levels. For the entire session, and actually a really good maintenance of club speed there as well. So and lots for guys and girls watching about the speed development and the techniques that you're using. So that's something that everyone can take something away from. So thank you for your insights.
No, my pleasure. It's been great to kind of test stuff out. There's all kind of theories until you test it out, and then you kind of work out the kinks, and definitely see that there can be a lot of. That's like I say. Not saying that's misbehaving, but definitely next step up would be this really.
Great stuff.
Good.
Thanks again.
Great stuff.
Great to see you. Thanks for watching. And so any questions regarding to any of the videos, do fire them in. We'll answer them as soon as we can. Any ideas and things you want us to do from a fitting point of view. We are going to be doing some fittings with some lesser club speeds, so that will be coming up soon. But again, thanks for watching. Thanks for coming. Cheers. And tune in again soon.